Let's see, next up, Angela, if you'll come on up. Angela is with IBM. IBM, as you probably know, works closely with a number of mobile operators, especially AT&T, and Angela is in a group that focuses on smart cities. And Angela, no comments please about Atlanta during the winter, but we'll be interested to hear what you have to say about making our city smart.
Thank you. Thank you, it's nice to be here. I'm Angela Russell-Rekika. And just going to hit on some of the things we're doing in IBM. We use a pretty simple model when we think about how to approach making a smarter planet. 3 I's: instrumented, interconnected, intelligent. So we think about, what are the instruments that we have? And this is overwhelming. I could just imagine, Cameron, what you face in your job with somebody knocking on your door every day with a new innovation. In my job, I work with telcos all around the world, and the first thing they want to think about is what are the use cases? What are the devices? How do I build this ecosystem? And what I try to do is step back and say, well, really, I think there are only 4 categories of devices we have to think about, and we can build a whole bunch of variations with that. We can think about sensors that give us information. We can think about actuators. Those are things that give us control. If I can use my phone to close my garage door, I've just used an actuator, or change my light, flip my light switch. That was an actuator. I can think about a meter. How much have I used? Who used it? When was it used? How much is left of a resource? This is a big business model enabler. And then a video camera. We all know a video camera is a sensor, but a video camera means a lot more in terms of demand on the network. It means a lot more in terms of demand on the analytics, which are the part that IBM really specializes in. And so I try to step back and work with telcos around those 4 categories. Too loud? Okay. Interconnection, that's what a lot of people in this room do. We think about any way to get to the internet, and we work with all those. And then intelligence, this is really IBM's specialty area. We're an analytics-focused company. We build analytics and we manage processes, and we put that all in software for our clients. So, we're actually thinking about what can we do with this data? What other data does it need to be combined with? And how do we turn that into a smart process? The reason why I'm so interested in working with telcos and why I'm traveling all over the world creating these alliances is because IBM does so many things in this world of Internet of Things. One thing we don't do is access network connectivity, but we want to provide complete solutions, whether it's a solution for business to consumer, government to citizen, any variation thereof. How does a complete solution get created? It's the devices and the protocols on the devices that let them share their data. We play in that game. It's the systems integration to bring all the sources of information together and put those in an analytic framework or a process framework. It's the exposure of developer tools that can allow somebody to create the next new application, and that somebody doesn't have to be the world's smartest developer. They can be somebody who understands the process and can use a simplified set of tools. And it is the IT infrastructure that's used to process all that. So one of the big examples of the relationship that we created is with AT&T, not coincidentally. We have a partnership around smarter cities, and we put together a terrific demo that leverages not only M2M and Internet of Things. Certainly that's a highlight and a showpiece of what we're doing. But we combine that with big data analytics, where we're able to look at people with phones in their pockets as a sample of the population, look at how they're moving, at what speed they're moving, or in the case of this evening, not moving. We're able to look at how to provide them information, whether it's through a text message or an app out to their cell phone. So that's machine to person, not just machine to machine. And we're able to look at crowdsourcing. So one thing I like to think about in this context is the fact that we're not switching over to the Internet of Things immediately. Not every traffic light in your town is going to be instrumented next week. Some of them will, and they'll be able to report in on themselves. For those that aren't, you as a driver could report in on them if you so chose, and that's part of the demo, and that's part of what AT&T brings to the solution. So we are leveraging their global SIM, we're leveraging the security that they provide down to those devices and those SIMs, which is a very important part of the equation, and we're providing them an applications framework that can be used to present that information to decision makers, and also to extend to apps in the consumer space. So things like giving someone an incentive to consume energy by telling them that other people in their neighborhood are doing better than they are, who's more competitive than the average American homeowner. So we're able to provide motivation that way. This is something I obsess about, and I invite any of you to talk with me later about this and help me expand this perspective. The middle ring here are the sources of value in the Internet of Things. So we like to think about the devices, we like to think about who owns the data and how that data should or shouldn't be shared between multiple parties. That's the center, and that's very interesting. We like to think about the applications. What types of applications are going to consume this data? What I think is the incentive for people to share data and the incentive for people to create applications are the sources of value in the blue ring. So things like, you've all seen insurance companies who are willing to provide you a small device that goes into your car. You will share with them your data about how you drive if they will share with you a discount. That's the business model behind that. And so I think this blue ring is where I've concentrated on trying to develop a number of perspectives on what the sources of value are, because that's what we all can share in as business professionals and owners in this room, is if we can understand the sources of value, extend those and share them between consumers, enterprises, and governments, there's something for us all to profit from. Okay, just want to spend a couple of minutes on a protocol. I'm going to get like a little bit into technology here. We all love HTTP, and that's what brought us all the internet, and we all have that on our smartphone and we rely on it. And when it comes to machine to human, HTTP is a terrific protocol. However, it's not always ideal in the IoT world. It's heavy, it requires too much from performance, it sucks too much battery life, and it's not always reliable. So if I'm relying on a machine to monitor my heart rate and my heart rhythm, if that thing blinks out because I switch between cell towers, that's not okay. If it blinks out because I switch between cell towers, but then eventually the message is delivered, that's a much more helpful model for me. So what we're looking at is a protocol called MQTT. This is an open source protocol. Anyone can work with it. You can put it as a lightweight client on any device. And IBM helped invent MQTT more than 10 years ago. So it's out there in the marketplace. There's dozens and dozens of providers who have put out their own versions of MQTT clients, and it's open source, so there are a lot that have developed their own for their own devices. IBM provides MQTT servers as a bridge between the access networks that collect the data and the enterprise data networks that need to be able to consume it and deliver it to applications. So I would encourage anybody who's not aware of the performance differences between these to take a look at this, because for network operators, it's a huge cost savings if it reduces your traffic by 90%. For folks who are interested in the device, in saving memory and saving battery, huge benefit. And for folks who are interested in reliability of their connectivity, also a huge benefit. I've provided some information, and we can send this out after the session for anybody who's interested in learning more about MQTT. All right, I'm going to close up on that note. Thank you so much, and time for John.
Very interesting, and the first IBM speaker that I heard in a while who did not mention Watson, so we'll talk about Watson later as well.